Good morning.
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 Well, I hope you guys got some rest last night. There will be no quick fire challenge. Because you're gonna need all the time you can spare to take on a Carolina classic. It's time to barbecue.
Welcome to the Eat Your Content podcast. I'm your host, Rich Herrera. This is your place for all things food and pop culture. Just a reminder to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content on all your social media profiles, and also to like and subscribe on your podcast player of choice so you know when new episodes drop. We are again covering Top Chef, season 23, episode 6. We have the Team No Sleep cooking hogs all night. We have the mysterious case of the missing chef on Last Chance Kitchen. We got Tom Colicchio eating $500 s'mores. Just a whole lot going on in this episode, and covering it with me each week this season is Top Chef participant from last season, Chef Corwin Hemming. Chef Corwin, how are you, man?
What's up, Rich? How you doing today?
Pretty good. Looks like you got an earthquake going on at your house. The computer's shaking a bit there.
Oh, sorry. It's sitting on like a pile of papers. Let me get that stable real quick. I'll stop touching it.
No, it's good. I was like, ooh, everything. It's like an earthquake over there in DC. So a lot going on. There's no quick fire because this is the hotly anticipated barbecue episode. I mean, every year, perennial or annually, I'm always looking forward to Restaurant Wars. That's always my favorite episode. But with North Carolina being featured, or the Carolinas being featured, the South being featured, I knew they were going to have some sort of like all night whole hog barbecue going on, and I was really looking forward to this episode. I know you were too. Did it live up to expectations? Was it everything you hoped for and more? Was it a disappointment? What's your overall thoughts before we dive in?
Nah, man, I think this episode lived up to it. I love barbecue. I grew up in Georgia, so barbecue is like, dear to my heart. My dad, he's a self-proclaimed pit master himself. So I was actually really excited. This is an episode that I think over any other episode I was most excited for when we're talking about the Carolinas. A lot to unpack here. I like the team split. There's a lot of juiciness going on here, but I like how they overall shot this. I love the fact that they gave them inspiration. It took them to, two of the pit houses that are known in that area. They really dissected the difference between East and West style barbecue, the difference between the two sauces, one using ketchup, one using more vinegar based. So I think they nailed this episode spot on.
Yeah, I mean, in the South, especially, other than SEC football, I don't think anything divides the South more than styles of barbecue.
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward to this episode. And every culture has some form of whole hog roasting. You think of, like, I'm Filipino, so I'm big into lechon, and especially like the glass shattering crispy skin. And Hawaii has Kahlua pork, but every culture has this. But there's something uniquely American about the way we do barbecue. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the regional differences that make it America, so to speak. But what is it about barbecue that just is so Americana about that form of cooking?
I think it's the fact that we build grills and we use these smokers to cook ours a specific way. Whereas like other cultures, like, in Hawaii, their Kahlua pork is like you dig a pit. And there's many cultures around the earth that they low and slow dig it, and then it's kind of just forgotten about. You just set it and forget it. Whereas, brisket there's a lot of like technique to it. Some people for a long time like, well, let's smoke the brisket, fat cap up so that all that fat drips down. And then once there were, basically like food scientists that got involved, they were like, that actually doesn't help it. That actually is drying it out faster. So you should smoke the fat cap down. And then it just opened up all these like different waves of like thinking when it comes to like American style barbecue. But yeah, and I think really regionally everybody does their thing. It's not like, oh, we're Filipino, everybody does lechon. That's not it. Like, you go to the Carolinas, it's strictly about the hog, and everybody does. They have the chopped pork, pulled pork. It's different, but it's all the same. And then they have their barbecue sauces. We take it another level here in Americas, where barbecue sauce determines the regions. You've got St. Louis style, you've got Kansas City, you've got Texas, you've got the South, and then that's a whole different Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee. Everybody's doing something different. So I think when we're talking about American style barbecue, it's very methodical. It's a science now. You have to do it right. You can't just put up crappy barbecue because everybody's gonna hang you out the pasture. So, it is what it is. I personally think that Texas style barbecue in the Americas reigns king. I love Texas style barbecue. I think their way of doing brisket is far matched, next to none. And in that, they do every style of barbecue well. They roast chickens very well. They can do your pulled porks. I've gone to like other places and like had one thing that was great, and then everything else kind of like was like lackluster. And so I think Texas reigns king, but I think this North Carolina style did a really good job in this episode.
Yeah, yeah, Texas, big on beef and brisket, and the Carolinas is all about the hog. So having this whole episode dedicated to Carolina barbecue, I thought represented the Carolinas really, really well. Skipping the quick fire, kind of going straight into the all night cook. But before we get into that and start talking about what we saw and some interesting takes, there's a couple of vignettes at the very beginning that I want to talk about. So we check in on Jennifer. She's still
Mhm.
hurting and everything. Anthony had a quote that said, "When the doctor fixes you up, we're all screwed."
Yeah.
And I want to bring up this point. We talked about it last week about Jennifer deciding to stay. And I got to think about it. And I listened to another Top Chef podcast, and they said that if Jennifer had decided to leave and come back, between her and Justin, they could have won possibly 500K. Justin would have stuck around this season, could get 250K. Then Jennifer comes on in a future season, she could win 250K. It's like you're doubling your winnings there. Another reason that I think maybe she should have retreated to live another day, but to fight another day. But good on her for sticking around, and she's doing fairly well. In
Hmm.
terms of cooking and being in the middle, not quite at the top, but not near the bottom. So she's doing really well. What do you think about Anthony's statement? I mean, I think he's right. I think if she was at full strength, I think we'd probably can see her more at the top because she's doing really well with one arm.
Yeah, she's hanging in there, man. I applauded it. Everybody said she should have bowed out. I said the opposite. I'm like, these are the moments where you're gonna look back on and be like, I'm glad I stuck into it. Top Chef is a once in a lifetime thing. I know they guaranteed her another spot, but let's say they guarantee her another spot. And she's like, actually, I don't want to do it again. Like taking this time off and being away from your family, friends, and like living that Top Chef lifestyle is not easy. And so, maybe they would have gave her another slot and she would have turned it down potentially and been like, that's a regret of mine. I applaud her for sticking in it. We see it across sports. We see it in all these types of industries where people really push themselves past the limits of they thought they couldn't go to. And she's doing well. And not only that, this is an episode that reflected her very well. She is from the South. She has a very thick Southern accent, and she was like super excited to cook this style. So, now this could trend in her favor, and she could be honestly winning competitions as more people get knocked out. We talked about this in previous episodes. The competition is getting slimmer and slimmer. So now your pocket of shining gets bigger. So let's say she heats up late. We've seen it. We saw it on my season. Massimo heated up late. Tristan took on a role and like on the latter half and the back half and really just ran with it. And so for some people, that's in their favor. They existed in the middle, kind of made their mistakes early on, and then hopefully she gets past this little injury. She didn't have her sling on camera, so maybe she was taking it off. Maybe she's feeling a little better. She can cook the way she wants to cook.
Yeah, I will say her movement seems to be improving. Like she wasn't in a sling. She's getting rest when she can. And she's doing the challenges within her limitations. I saw her kneading dough in
Hmm.
this one, so that tells me her shoulder's got to be feeling a little bit better. So yeah, who knows?
Hmm.
Maybe she'll make a back end run as she gets better. Another vignette. Speaking of Anthony, that I thought was really funny. Him, Anthony, and Lawrence uniting as nerds about Warhammer
Nerding out.
40,000. That
Yes.
was hilarious. There's a section in there where they're talking like, so which class do you like? And half the audience probably checked out when they were
Hmm.
watching that one. But it's always fun when you are, when you're away from your family. I'm sure you can attest to this. You're away
Hmm.
from your family for a month, 2 months at a time, and you bond with with your fellow contestants over something other than cooking. Did you find that in your season with you or others that you saw?
Yeah. I had no idea what this game was or this thing was when they were nerding out over it. But I also have a couple things that I'm really nerdy about that I care about too, that your average person would be like, oh, that's some nerdy stuff. So I get it, bro. And like you said, they're bonding. They're gonna build this friendship that transcends past the end of the season. On my season specifically, there was three people that I would say I bonded with in like a weird way that I didn't think. Me and Shawai literally talking movie quotes, and like we were just cracking each other up the whole time. Like, because he would say things and I would be the only one laughing because I'm like, I also say that quote from that movie, Tropic Thunder, Rush Hour. Like we were constantly just like throwing off movie quotes, constantly from like old school movies that I thought was hilarious. And me and Vinny, we would just like sit in each other's like rooms late night and like smack like old school like pizza rolls, or like, we'd make dumplings for each other and just sit there and like just chat about like, the competition and like where we're at in life, and what happened past us working together. And so me and Vinny, we would bond over like late night fat boy foods, as I call them. And then who was the third person that I would say I bonded with randomly? Me and Massimo were actually next door roommates, so we would get up and like have tea in the morning together, like randomly. Like he would come knock on my door. I'm like, hey man, were you up? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just in here sharpening my knives. He's like, you want to have a tea? Come on in. So me and Massimo would like sit and chat, and then as a group, I think we also did a lot together. We would like plan strategic, like, hey guys, if we have a day off tomorrow, we're gonna plan a movie night, and we would like watch a movie. And what movie was that? We came up with this one movie where Bullet Train. It was Bullet Train. We watched Bullet Train, and I didn't think that that movie was going to be funny, and it was hilarious. And then we started throwing around nicknames. So like me and Vinny became like Tangerine and Lemon. You know what I mean? So like there was like a couple pockets of us just like bonding as a group. That like, we decided to like, jokes came out of it, or like, nicknames came out of it, something. But that's Top Chef in a nutshell, man. You find somebody that you're like super cool with, and you're like, man, when we get eliminated, this is gonna suck. But if hopefully we make it a little far and we keep this little nickname going. But yeah, man, it's all for the love of the game.
That's fun. That's fun. So when you
Mm.
get eliminated, do you still stay in the same hotel or are you sequestered somewhere else?
They sequester you somewhere else, but that didn't stop us. That did not stop us, man. Tristan and Vinny were like passing me notes from like through producers, and like, so like you'd be sitting there and be like, Tristan wanted me to give you this, and it would be like a joke. Like we had nicknames for each other, and it just kept going. And you didn't want to be the guy to like be the brunt of the joke. And so like the fact that like the production team got in on it, and they're like now dogging on you, I'm like, oh man, I lost. I wasn't even thinking like that. So I'm like, yeah, it was cool. We still found ways to like communicate with each other, and it was funny. It created some funny moments that like I still remember to this day.
That's fun. That's fun. Well, let's jump right into the barbecue showdown. So they're in the Top Chef kitchen. They introduce the guest judge. It's Sam
Hmm.
Jones. He's a fourth
Hmm.
generation pitmaster there in the Carolinas, and they break down a little bit of how Carolina's barbecue is. So it's Eastern and Western style. So the Eastern style is known for kind of a tangier, lighter flavor, and the Western style offers more of a slightly sweeter ketchup based type sauce. So it's more sauce based than cook based. They both cook their hogs similarly, but it's the sauces that define the region. So I
Hmm.
thought that was really interesting, and we got a little bit of both in this cook, which I thought was really neat to see. As they learned about cooking, there were some that didn't know a whole lot, and there was some like Seeger that was, talking a big game about barbecuing. I
Hmm.
do love that they cut to a lot of his confessionals and talk about how he knows all about cooking. And I'm like, yeah, kids, that's what we call foreshadowing. Is when he's he's talking a big game, and I'm like, yeah, I think Seeger's going to be in trouble on this one. But yeah, so they broke that down, and then the challenge was in two teams of five. They're going to compete in a head-to-head barbecue kind of tournament. So they divide everybody up in two teams of five, and there's 5 rounds: shoulder, loin, belly, ham, and chopped. So
Hmm.
each chef is responsible for a part of the pig, or a dish featuring that part of the pig, and then they go head to head. So the way they divided things up, I thought was really interesting. So Anthony won the last elimination challenge, so he got an advantage by being a captain. And his advantage was he got to choose the other captain. So he chose Justin. And I thought it was really interesting when he picked Justin, because he knew that Justin was going to pick his wife first. That kind of gives Anthony two first round draft picks. That was
Hmm.
some smart gamesmanship. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Anthony came into it with a game plan and executed. And like when you're in a Top Chef kitchen, these decisions happen quick. So it's like it's not a lot of time where you're like, oh well, like tomorrow I get to do this, or you're like plotting. Like it's not that. And I think he picked the winning team. To be honest, him picking um, his first pick was somebody who also didn't have like a ton of experience like in barbecue. I thought that that was ballsy. You know, Lawrence said it like he's like, I don't have a ton of experience in barbecue, but yet he still executed very well. And that to me was like, okay, your team obviously cooked the pig well and you executed your dish. Had his team not executed the pig well, would he have been able to do that? I don't know. And so I think he just did a good job. Even despite having no experience and being a first round pick, he showed up. He was literally why you're like, that's my first round pick. And so it was interesting. With Seeger, I disagree. I think he cooked the whole hog well. He just took the hardest part of the pig himself and fell short, which is to be expected. Everybody knew like whoever gets the loin is kind of fucked. We knew that. Like we knew that. I personally, I've been saying it this whole season. Like I stay away from pork loin, man. I stay away from pork loin when it comes to competition cooking, just because people are. It's finicky. It's a finicky cut. People don't love it, and it's kind of like the last cut of pork that you're like, oh, I want that. And so I think he put his team on his back and took the hardest route. And I don't think he fell short. I think his dish was where he fell short more than the actual cooking of the whole hog. I think he succeeded in the whole hog. He took the stripe right on the chest and was like, I'm the captain. I'm going to take the lead here. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it opposite of them. We're not going to start the poles first. We're going to start the pig first. And had he taken the loin off like Lawrence did, he might have had a better cut of pork. You know what I mean? I think that's the difference, the degree of separation. Whereas Lawrence was like, I'm scared of the loin. I'm scared of this. So I'm going to do the safest things possible. Whereas Seeger was like, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to take the loin because it's the hardest cut. And fell a little bit short. I don't see that as a loss for him. Even though he got knocked out, I didn't see this as a loss for Seeger. I thought there was two other people that didn't execute well in their dishes and kind of made some dishes, which we'll talk about later. But I think Seeger like tried to put the team on his back, and like it's like it's a playoff game. You know what I mean? Like in the 90s when you're facing Jordan, you're like, I'm going up against a killer and I'm gonna try to go out. And Reggie Miller just fell a little bit short. Did he fail? No, I just think he just lost. And I think that to me is what I saw from this challenge with Seeger.
Yeah, the two teams had diametrically opposite ways of roasting this pig. I thought it was really interesting to see this play out. The red team, Anthony's team, was Anthony, Lawrence, Brandon, Sherry, and Duyen, and Justin's
Strong
team,
team.
stacked team.
Stacked team.
And Justin wearing the gray aprons was Justin, Jennifer, Seeger, Jonathan, and Oscar. Now Justin was the captain, but really, like I agree with you, Seeger was really the leader in showing everybody here's how we cook a hog in the Carolinas. But let's talk about the opposite ways that they cooked it. So Brandon on the red team was kind of like, hey, I've done this before. I'll take the lead in cooking the hog, and was kind of Seeger's counterpart on the red side. And like you said, they laid the coals down, put the pig on, and they took the loin out, after the first part of cooking and cooked it separately because of it being notoriously dry. And then Justin's team, Seeger, he basically kind of called him out on the carpet for that. He said, "You're in this confessional." He said, "You're bastardizing the way we cook hogs. I'm leaving it in because that's the way it's supposed to be." And in the end, for Seeger, it dried out on him. And unfortunately, and even one of the pit masters said, "Shout out to the chefs that took the loin out and cooked it
I
separately.
do the
That's what
same
I
thing.
do."
Yeah.
So Brandon knew what he was doing, and Seeger, I'm sure, has done this hundreds of times. It just didn't work out for him this time.
There's
But
just not one way to skin a cat here.
right,
That's where like this is where higher learning comes into play. It's like, oh man, the loin sucks every time we smoke this. And then one day somebody was like, well, let's take it out. That's where like this is what this is. Like Seeker should adjust the way in which he thinks about whole hog. Just because you did it for one guy doesn't mean that that's how everybody does it, or that's not the best way. So now let's adopt some like higher learning into this. This is where like methodical cooking comes into play, and I respect it. Like just because everybody does it one way doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement.
yeah, I mean, Seeger was really he was really offended. It really
Hmm.
offended his delicate sensibilities on cooking this
Hmm.
this whole hog the way that Brandon cut it out.
Yeah,
I mean, using the words like bastardizing. I mean, those are strong words when you're talking about
he's not
the
right. I
way
mean,
of cooking.
had this been a shot 25 years ago, he might have been right. This is a new wave of cooking where chefs are like thinking past old school techniques and being like, let's update the techniques. I was listening to the twins on a podcast actually recently. I'm sorry to go off tangent, but they were talking about um beurre blancs. Traditionally, in every kitchen that I've ever worked in, we would throw the beurre blanc away at the end of the night. And he's like, why are we wasting that much money? Every kitchen that I've ever worked in, we throw the beurre blanc away. And up until me taking over, as a chef de cuisine in my current restaurant, I was like, let's not throw the beurre blanc away. Like, that's financially irresponsible. How about we make the beurre blanc base without the butter, and we reduce it just far enough to where, like, you have a little bit of wiggle room. And then every day we take a quart of beurre blanc and we heat up what we need for service and we season it, and then we mount in our butter. And then that way, what we use for service is our par, and we get close to using that, and then that's it. And there's ways to stabilize it. You can use xanthan gum waters, which we call pre-high, or like xanthan water, to stabilize it, so that, like, if the butter is fighting your reduction and it starts to break, you have a stabilizer that keeps it there. There's ways to do this to where you're not, like, it's not sacrificing flavor, and it's not and you're saving money at the end of the day for your restaurant. Like, these are the things that we need to start having conversations about as chefs, because this is the most costly time period we've ever seen in restaurants. This is the most expensive time period. Food cost is up, traveling costs are up. If you need to get something from another, import costs are up. Like, coming through, we're seeing tariff wars spike things. This war in Iran is spiking up oil prices, which is driving up things coming from other countries. So, like, this is the most expensive we've ever seen cooking in a professional restaurant environment. So we need to get creative in how we approach saving money and cutting costs without sacrificing the end product. And this is like one of them. Like, this is higher learning. This is why we think and have conversations.
Right. I think Seeger just kind of got stuck in the way that he's always cooked hog,
Yep.
and is and taking the loin out has never crossed his mind to do that, because for some, as we talked about, barbecue is big in the South. It's a religion in the South, and
Yep.
and for him to say, this is how you do it, it's his religion in cooking it. And I think he, you know, took it as an offense of the way that Brandon did. Is like, I cook for tradition. I think he said something like, I cook for tradition. I don't necessarily want to cook this to win in that sense. He's like, I want to keep the tradition, and I'm not going to take that loin out. Yeah,
You got to do both.
I mean, it's Top Chef, man. That's
Yeah.
you know the rules, and as long as you know the rules, then you know where you can break them in terms of cooking technique, right? Like you were saying with your beurre blanc sauce, the traditional way is doing it this way, but to save costs and everything, let's do it this way, and it comes out the same at the end. And that's what I think Seeger failed to embrace in this challenge is, oh man, maybe we should do that, because the loin is notoriously, and it cooks at a different speed than the rest of the pig. And you cook it too long, it's obviously going to dry out, and it just caught up with him. But overall, I thought the challenge was fun. You saw a lot of them playing cornhole. I mean, some of them were team no sleep. Props to Seeger for his work ethic and saying, y'all go take a nap, I'm going to go babysit this thing. And he stayed up all night and and took care of the pig. Others were playing cornhole. And then Tom comes in, and there was no quick fire challenge, so he challenges everybody to a s'mores off. But Anthony and Anthony and Justin didn't participate. What did we think of s'mores? I like s'mores. I can probably only eat one because it's just nothing but sugar. And it's like really, really sweet. I can't imagine eating however many it was that he ate, 10 or whatever, 10 s'mores, even if it's one bite each, that's like way too much. But what did we think of the s'mores?
Top Chef is always going to find a way to throw like a curveball at you. I like the fact that Tom was like, hey, like, you guys want to do a s'mores off, and didn't say anything else. And then was like, hey, you want some money? You know what I mean? Like, that's great. Love it. And Oscar won what was it? $500?
Yep.
Yeah. I like that, bro. $500 goes a long way for some beers, later on down the road when that check clears. So it's like, it was all for the fun of it. Tom is all about the fun of Top Chef, and he'll find his moments, like as we saw in Last Chef's Kitchen. That's where he's like, all right, we're gonna do something different here and have fun with it. I personally can only eat like one, maybe two, but I love doing s'mores. Like, if get me a reason to light a fire pit, like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I like lighting fire, so sure, I loved it.
Speaking of prize money, I forgot to mention this. Part of the challenge is because there's no quick fire, there's still some cash. 25,000 is up for grabs. So as they go through these 5 rounds of head-to-head competition, the winner of each round gets 5K, and then the overall winning team gets 2% extra, which is $500 each. And if I hear active cash credit card from Wells Fargo one more
One more
time,
time.
I am going to lose it. Look, I get it. You got to pay the bills, but my God, man,
Yeah.
stop. Like we heard it once, we get it. And I'm just like,
It's like every episode.
every episode? I get it. I get that it's the main sponsor, but dang. And
Hey
because
man,
of the active cash credit card, we're going to give you $500 for your s'more. I'm like, all right, stop.
they want to get paid, man. Top shout out to the Top Chef team for securing the bands, securing the check, securing the bag. They're like, we're gonna do this every episode, guys. And somebody's gonna say it every episode, and we're gonna keep this future sponsorship for the next season of Top Chef because we said it every episode. Hey, look, man, somebody's got to do it because I won money on my season, man. When that check cleared, man, you couldn't tell me nothing. But I was dancing with my bank account, and then I paid bills, and so then the next day was like back to regular life. But nonetheless, it's a part of it, man. Like there's people that literally go on Top Chef, don't win a single dollar. They literally go on it like there's chefs that will literally win the immunity challenge multiple times and never win a quick fire. There's people there that exist for the whole shebang. And like, I didn't win a single dollar. Like all you got out of it was like the hat, the TV, the Instagram post. I'm like, I'm here to win some money too. So if I'm not winning like the Top Chef grand prize, I better leave here I'm leaving here with something. So for me, like I won money and I was like, all right, like this is great. And then to hear other people being like, I didn't win a single dollar. I'm like, damn, that sucks. Like I was actively trying to win those quick fire challenges. So when there was money up for grabs, I was like, oh, I'm swinging for it today. Like I'm going for it.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that the quick fire challenges now equate to some money because you're right. I do love that everybody has a chance to win some cash, even if it's not the 250K. There's enough money to go around. If everybody won one quick fire, everybody would win something. So, okay, thank you, Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card, where you get 2% off or 2% whatever purchase. Show me my money.
Yes, 100%. Show me my money.
Free, no free ads. But anyway, there we go.
Maybe when I get your podcast sponsored for next year.
We'll see. Right? Wells Fargo, if you're listening, I have a dollar amount in mind.
Tag them at Wells Fargo when we post this episode.
That's right. Everybody leave a comment at Wells Fargo. I have a price. I'm going to write this down on a piece of paper and slide it toward you there. But anyway, 2%. 2% of whatever you pay Top Chef. I'll do that. 2% of whatever you pay Top Chef. Oh, anyway, we digress. So Oscar wins the s'more challenge. She had a spicy chili s'more made with chili pasilla and melted chocolate. And it stood out. Everybody's was kind of going sweet. There were some nuts involved on a couple of them, but he was the only one that had like a chili kind of spiciness to it. And chocolate and chilies is a great combination.
100% it works.
Yeah, classic combination. So he won $500, and then everybody's back to the grind on there. So the next morning comes, the all night cook is over, and the judges come in with a cavalcade of Carolina's best pitmasters. So 6:15 in the morning, they were done. I got to thinking, I was like, did they have pulled pork for breakfast? Like, what, they have to serve this while it's still, somewhat warm, right? So I'm thinking, man, everybody had barbecue for breakfast.
I'm not mad at it. I would do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the head-to-head challenges, the head-to-head round. So the pitmasters were all kind of bunched together as a collective vote. And then there's 4 judges that each had their own vote for a total of 5 possible points that someone could win. As we go to the head-to-head rounds, it was good to see Michelle back in Top Chef. She is a barbecue maven from Texas. Yeah, she's from Houston. So it was good to see her. So she knows what she's talking about when it comes to barbecue. So let's talk about the rounds. So round 1 was the shoulder. So it was Sherry versus Justin. Justin making a milk bread from scratch. She did a barbecue sandwich with smoked pork shoulder, Alabama coleslaw, spicy pickles, and a dipping sauce. Sherry did a south of the border balsam, Eastern style vinaigrette, cabbage, chow, and a fresh herb salad. I like that Justin made his own bread. But you have all night, so you could make your own bread. You had the time. But I do like that he made his own bread, and that was a highlight of his dish. And then Sherry south of the border was a different take on that. I think Justin's had probably, out of all 5 dishes, he had probably the most traditional looking thing
Yeah.
dish out of everybody. And Sherry wins 4-1. Obviously, we can't taste it, but what did you think? And did the right person win?
Yeah, I think she really went creative with the shoulder. I would have also picked the shoulder. That the preneal is kind of like where I like to cook pork. It cooks really low and slow. It has really great fat content. I think she just went more creative. She went more pieces of the pork. She went more fatty pieces. She incorporated the chicharron. The bosom was really nice, where she incorporated like flavors of her South American roots, and she had her chimichurri sauce on there. So I think she just went harder at the dish, and everybody was like, "Oh wow, he baked his own bread. His bread was great," but the pork wasn't cut. He was trying to be too cute. It's barbecue. Like a component of it is not cute. Like it's long cooking. It's hot. It's slow and slow. You're burning yourself a little bit. It's greasy. Like there's a lot of it that's just not cute about making barbecue. And I think he went a little bit too like composed on trying to make like the pork sit on the bun, which the judges spoke about. And I think Sherry just crushed it. She's stepping up to the game, and she's throwing her hat in the ring like we've been talking about, and she's winning me points. As one of my team. So I was super hyped to see her sweep that one, and her dish looked really nice.
Yeah, looked really good. So she wins 4-1. So Red takes the first round. Round two was the dreaded loin. It was Seeger versus
Mhm.
Lawrence. Lawrence did the pork loin three ways. He did a smoked pork
Mhm.
loin, pork floss, and an East meets East sauce. And it looks like the red team made the right call by pulling out the loin because it came out really tender. Seeger did a pork loin, crispy ear terrine, and a mustard-based carrot barbecue sauce. I really liked Lawrence's. I mean, he was clearly the winner. And the funny thing is, the pork floss, which was the best part of his plate, wasn't even his idea. It was
Mhm.
Sherry's idea.
It was Sherry's
And
idea.
yeah, yes, that's teamwork, making the dream work there. So Lawrence wins in a 5-0 sweep. The judges liked the variety of his dish, and they found Seeger's pork to be dry.
Mhm.
So let's talk about this a little bit. So we talked about Seeger's insistence on not cutting out the pork loin out of the whole hog, and it come back to bite him because it overcooked.
Yeah.
What do we think here?
Uh, I want to talk to Lawrence's dish first. The pork floss is a
Sure.
great idea.
Yeah.
Sherry, just if you want some money on that dish, throw her $5, man. Like she literally gave you a win because let's say Seeger cooks his pork loin perfectly in an alternate reality, and he doesn't use the pork floss. Does Seeger now win that dish because there's the degree of separation is tighter now? But nonetheless, I think he just executed because he did multiple variations with the loin. Like he took the shittiest cut of the pork in everybody's eyes and made a really banging dish. And yeah, so in terms of Seeger falling flat, I liked how he approached the dish. I just think it was also once again a little bit too minimalist. Like you didn't really do anything to stand out, and your pork was you messed up your cook on it. And so at first when I was watching, I didn't think that's because the judges didn't really have no notes. They were like, oh well, like his fell a little bit short. We didn't like the sauce too much. The carrot kind of got lost, like da da da. And then Tom was the last one to say like, oh, his pork was a little dry, and then it kind of cut the scene. And I was like, oh, what was that about? You know what I mean? Like, did everybody agree with that, or was it just Tom being throwing in a critique? And then as we come out later, they're like, nah, everybody's was dry, which I thought before that maybe two of the other chefs that were also in the bottom three would have gotten sent home. And also like they have their way of judging things. Like I would have given Seeger a little bit of leeway because he cooked the whole hog, and then some of his teammates did win, so he didn't totally fall flat. It's just that one cut. So degree of separation here, and
Yeah. The pork was dry, and the carrot barbecue sauce wasn't a big hit. And I
yeah.
think Tom said it there at the end. He said, he chefed it up a little too much, which was my fear
Mhm.
of this challenge, right? That when you go into something so traditional as barbecue, you do want to make it Top Chef worthy, but how much do you futz with it until
How
it's too
far do you go?
chefy? Yeah.
How far do you go?
And I think he went a little too far in chefing it up, and it was very minimalistic. It was very small. It looked like,
Three components.
yeah, three components that look like part of a multi-course tasting menu.
Yeah.
Whereas, you're feeding pit masters outside in the outdoors at Splendor Pond, which was beautiful. So he kind of, I don't know, didn't read the room in that sense of what they were
Mhm.
probably looking for. But Lawrence wins in a 5-0 sweep. So red team takes this one. And because there's 5 rounds, the first of 3 wins, and round 2 went to red, and they're up 2-0. So going into the belly round 3, it was Brandon versus Jonathan, the battle of the twins. Make or break for the gray team. They got to win this one to stay alive. Jonathan did a pork belly, chicharron, succotash, and pimento cheese. Brandon did a pimento cheese espuma, which we'll talk about here in a second. Brandon did a smoked barbecue pork belly, mac and cheese, collard greens, and mustard onions. And Brandon had a very traditional plate as well, kind of like Justin there. And Brandon wins in a sweep 5-0. And the downfall of Jonathan's was really that pimento cheese espuma, which Tom walked around and he tried to hint to Jonathan, hey, you may not want to do that, in his committal Tom way of trying to make you rethink, is this really a good idea for you? I do like the idea of pimento cheese with the pork, but he deconstructed the pimento cheese so much that it was almost unrecognizable. And
Mhm.
it didn't have that texture of what pimento cheese is known for. And it was just, and at Tom at the inside, it was just bad.
Yeah.
So a rightful 5-0 win for Brandon. What did we think of Jonathan there and Brandon, the twins?
So he also committed the sin of, what was it, 2 episodes ago, where Tom was like, I don't like being told how to eat my meal.
That's right. And he did it again.
He did it again. He said, take your chicharron and like drag it through the sauce. And when he said that, I'm like, oh, Tom's gonna say it again. Oh man,
Yep.
he's not in good graces here.
Yeah, I
So
am
he
kind of surprised he
right off the
didn't
bat,
bring that up in
yeah,
his
but
judging.
he probably did. They just probably didn't cut it in. So it's like he once again goes against what Tom says, and it's like, dude, Tom's the guy, man. Like you got to listen to Tom when he throws you a gem. Like there's when you're in the Top Chef kitchen, Tom is like walking around like nose in your mise en place. He's like right next to you over your shoulder. So what you got here, chef? And he's like, oh yeah. So like, what are you gonna do with this? And he's like really poking and prodding and seeing like if what your idea is gonna come to fruition, or if you're messing up. And he's also looking like, is your sauce broken? Can I taste this? Like he's not scared to like get in there and like see what you're doing. And it either leans in your favor and you like wow him, or you say something that like it leaves an impression on him, negative or positive. And in this case, it was negative. He tried to throw him a gem, he didn't take it. And then he told him how to eat his food, which Tom hates. And it's like, bro, like you just shot yourself in the foot. But me personally, I hate pimento cheese. So I'm like, that's I I would have been like, yeah, I'm cool. Like you turn something I don't like into an espuma, cool. Love the fact that you put it in an ISI canister. Does it actually taste like pimento cheese? No, because the texture of pimento cheese is very specific too. Like the texture has a taste. So just cook this belly well, but I thought the dish looked nice. It was very composed. Once again, a lot of composed dishes here, not meeting the mark. And it looked really nice. The pimento cheese, the spuma was like that bright color. The chicharron was like nice and curled on top, and then the twins were like throwing shade at each other. Oh, I didn't buy mine from the store. I thought that was funny. Their banter and the fact that they also like have twin power and also both chose pork belly. I'm like, the judges were surprised, and I'm like, I'm not surprised at all. I had twins, and I can't wait till they get older. And I'm like, they're just gonna do the same thing without even recognizing it, just because of the fact that they're twins. So like they were surprised, and I'm like, I'm not. Like this is what twins do. They do shit like this. This is my life in the future. So I thought that was hilarious that they were a little bit shocked by it. But his brother, I think he took a really classical approach to like Southern cuisine. He had like the mustard onions on there. He had the fried mac and cheese bite. He had his pork belly. He had like components of like soul food or like Southern food on a plate, just like deconstructed or reconstructed in a certain way. And I think the fact that his brother messed up with the pimento cheese, it just gave him all the room to win.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I was surprised that Jonathan. I kind of wish if Tom did say, "Hey, what did I tell you about telling me how to eat?" I really wish if they did say that, they should have cut that in. But
I
I don't.
told you last time.
That's
Like,
right.
all right, Dad. Oh, okay, Dad.
Right. And when Tom walks around the kitchen and he's looking at your food and he's questioning you about it, think about what he's saying, right? Like he's doing
Yeah.
that for a reason. Like he's been there. It's 23 seasons, he knows what he's
Tom has
talking
been a
about.
chef for like 30, 40 years. I mean, his restaurant in New York City's been, Craft has been open for 25 years. He knows what he's talking about in his world. Like, you got to take it seriously.
Yeah, I know sometimes he phrases it in a way that makes you question every decision you've ever made in life.
Is
But
she trying to break you? I don't know.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh,
But that one
Tom,
was
don't
very
ever change,
specific.
Tom.
It was very
Don't
specific.
ever
He's like,
change,
man,
Tom.
you do a pimento cheese and spuma down here in the South, you might get you might get kicked out. But try to tell him. All you can do is give him the information. You can lead the
Yep.
horse to water, but you can't make him
Can't
drink.
force it to
So
drink.
that's right. So round four, we have ham. We got Jennifer and Anthony. Jennifer did a
Mhm.
ham steak, black-eyed pea puree, hush puppies, smoked grapes, and pickled collard green stems. Anthony did a ham mojo, black bean puree, oranges, and hush puppies.
Mhm.
And this round really didn't matter. So Brandon winning 5-0 in the last round gave Red the overall win, 3 rounds to nothing. They swept him. But this is,
Mhm.
still some prize money because each winner of each round gets some cash. Jennifer wins 4-1. Tom thought it was a beautiful dish. Michelle loved Anthony's mojo. So they were both good dishes, but Jennifer just edged it out. The black-eyed pea puree, I never even thought to puree black-eyed peas. That actually sounded delicious. And her hush puppies look good. So smoked grapes, I thought was a really interesting choice on
Yeah.
this dish. And I think that's probably what got her the win. It was unexpected and it tasted good. So what did we think of the ham round? And I do well before we talk about that, I do like they asked about ham to one of the pit masters that they toured, and they're like, yeah, we don't even mess with ham
Yeah, we
on
just
that.
it's chop it up into the final cut.
That's right.
I thought both of them actually approached the ham really well. This was the cut. Like if I would have got it, it would have scared me a little bit because a ham steak is like it's a very 1950s style of like eating. And what are we doing with it? It's just the holiday cut. It's discarded. Um, but they both like used fruit. They approached both of their dishes the same way. They both did a fritter black eyed pea kind of take on it. They both used a fruit component, which I'm like, oh, they're in sync. They're kind of like thinking in the same direction. I just think maybe her being from the South just gave Jennifer an edge, and she just had a one up. But I thought both of them executed their dish pretty well. So
Yeah, yep. And then the final
degree of
round, we
separation,
have what's that?
just a degree of separation, really.
Yep, yep. And then the last round we have the chopped version of the pork there, Du
Mhm.
Yen versus Oscar. I thought Du Yen was pretty funny when they were talking to her confessionals, like, oh, Dwayne's gonna come out. There's this other personality that comes out to fight, you know.
She
So
was like,
that's right.
she was in
So
the back of the
Dwayne
van,
came
pissed
out.
off.
Dwayne came out during this episode a little bit, which I thought was hilarious. Oscar did a pig face stuffed tamale, curritado, and a salsa ahogado barbecue sauce. Deanne did a chopped barbecue papaya salad, summer roll, and fried spring roll. One thing that Deanne brought up that I didn't think about in this competition is the chopped being the last round. Everybody gets the prime pieces of the hog after it's cooked,
Mhm.
and then they're left with whatever's left. And they could be off cuts, it could be less desirable cuts, and they have to turn that into something. That's why you chop it up finely and put some sauce on it, and it comes out pretty good.
Mhm.
So the winner was Oscar with his tamal over Duyen, and I think Christian said it best. You just got more pork with Oscars than you did with Duyen, and I think that's probably what got Oscar the win there. What do we think?
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, she went very creative in terms of like turning it into, Southeast Asian spring rolls and using it as a filling. But, when you looked at her plate, the spring roll is all of yay big. And it's like, okay, you're going to get a pop of it versus him. He had a tamale and that thing was loaded. Like he treated it right. Like if you're going to get barbecue, you're going to get chopped meat, give me chopped meat. And I think he just did that. The curtido, it's Central American like pickles basically. So like when I saw him like doing curtido, it literally took me to like my restaurant where we have a lot of El Salvadorian, Guatemalan, um, Honduran cooks, and they literally on pupusas you have curtido and you have like this like tomato. It's like a salsa, but it's like a very watery salsa. Kind of mimics like how watery like Carolina barbecue sauce is, and so there's some similarities culturally here that I think he just approached it like, all right, let's go in the direction of barbecue and let's not get too weird and gave you pickles. He gave you the starch, which is, we always see starch on a plate in barbecue where there's a slice of bread or some hush puppies. And he gave you a lot of meat and it was still composed though. It wasn't a dumpster plate, but like Chris said, he just gave more pork and that got him a W. He got $5,000 out of it. And I think it's also like he won the $500. And I think at the beginning of the episode, all the chefs were talking about like this is every cook is a fresh, clean slate. Like the judges aren't holding your bad cooks from 2 episodes against you. So like you get to just come with a new idea and pick yourself up and be like, all right, like I'm in a good mood today. I got to let that last cooks be water under the bridge. And I think Oscar really rose to the occasion. We've seen him kind of like doing this, and that's Top Chef. I know exactly where he's at. From somebody who was also, I was doing this at the beginning of mine until I like hit a stride and then got eliminated. But like you have these moments of like things being out of your control, and you're like, oh, the boat's rocking, and it's like, you make a little mistake and it could get you eliminated. But, I think he's got to learn how to stay there. He's got to learn how to either be in the middle or at the top. And if he's back at the bottom again, if he overcooks something the way he did with his lamb chops, he's going to get out of here, because you may have a cook where everybody executes and one person messes up. You may have a cook where everybody executes and nobody really messes up. Like, I got eliminated off of just product. We couldn't get saltfish. We had to substitute something, and we still executed. And I was like, oh, our dish is really tasty. I was like, this may get us past it. And then didn't, you know what I mean? Like, because everybody executed that day. And that's where I think the difference maker of these latter episodes that we're getting ready to see, that it's gonna weed off people that are like, we've seen the people make the mistakes and they're gone. They're an LCK or they're fully eliminated. Now it's like, you're going to have to stand up against Lawrence. He's cooking. He had his one moment of like having a trip up with the salad, but at this point, I think everybody realizes, all right, this is what I need to do to win, and like go for it and make that top 3 so we can like figure out who's going to be the next top chef.
Yeah, so we're getting to the point now where people are losing by degrees. Like they're not losing because it's a horrible dish, or they're not losing or being eliminated because they're, forgetting elements or whatnot. They're losing because the pork was too dry, that sort of thing. We're losing by that. And as we get further in the competition, that's where it's going to be. And Oscar's right. You're only as good as your last cook, and you got to be like what Ted Lasso says: be a goldfish. Forget about that, move on to the next thing. So with Jennifer and Oscar winning the last 2 rounds, it gives Gray their only points for the head-to-head competition. So Red wins overall, three rounds to 2. So that puts Red at the top of the judges table, and that puts Gray at the bottom of the judges table. So let's talk about judges table for a minute. So as I said, top of the judge table is the red team. That's Anthony, Lawrence, Brandon, Sherry, Duyen. Bottom of the judges table was the gray team, which was Justin, Jennifer, Seeger, Jonathan, and Oscar. Overall winner was Lawrence. They loved his 3-way interpretation of the loin, which is interesting because everybody was afraid of the pork loin. Nobody wanted the pork loin, and that's what ends up winning it. So when you take something that is going to be a challenge and you figure out a way to rise above it with the help of your team coming up with the pork floss there, he found a way to win. And Seeger was eliminated because Tom said he tried to chef it up too much, which again was just my fear of this challenge. And Seeger was the embodiment of that for me. And the loin was too dry. So again, that was nobody. I do like what the judges are saying here. Nobody made a bad dish. Like you're just picking. Unfortunately, just the technical things that is sending a person home now. It's not because things were bad tasting or were awful. It's just technically who stepped up and who was able to overcome this challenge. And unfortunately, Seeger was heading out. He was eliminated. So, what do we think of the winner and the eliminated chef? Do we think the right person was eliminated?
No.
Mm.
I was convinced Brandon was going home. When I watched it, I was like, yeah, he gave his pork, but nobody liked his dish. He got swept. And the pimento cheese was weird. It, like Tom said, like you might get kicked out the South for it, and then nobody liked his dish. Like you saw a clean sweep in the judges, you see a clean sweep in the peanut gallery. I was like, ooh. And everybody had like, yeah, like the pimento cheeses didn't do it for me. And you took something that was Southern and didn't hit it home. So I was convinced that, and plus, like you lost, and your teammate who also lost, who got eliminated, cooked the pork for you. So he cooked your piece of pork very well for you, and you just didn't execute your dish. That to me is like, if he would have overcooked the whole pork and his whole team lost, Seeger deserves to go home. He cooked the pork well for his whole team and took the hardest cut and didn't execute. It sucks because I'm like, well, how bad was his dish? How bad were those 3 components in comparison to the other 2? Was the milk bread that he made not good? Was the espuma that bad? Like what in comparison to the carrot, because they loved his pig ear terrine. So I'm like, he got really creative and gave you a component of it, and was the only person to use the pig ears. Like he just didn't chop it up and throw it in. I think there's the level of it. It's like, is that the person that goes home? Once again, I wasn't there to taste, but me personally, when I was watching it, I was like, ooh, like this is where the twins get separated, and or Jennifer loses her partner and she's just out here with one arm and no help. You know what I mean? So I think that's where I thought this episode was trending. And so it sucks to see that Seager. He was my number one draft pick. He was having a good couple string of wins together, and he got knocked out. And so that's where I'm like, man, this is going to hurt me in points. But yeah, I hate to see him. So I'm really trying to figure out what's going on at LCK. There was no chef coming in. What the hell is going on? Is Seager going to be for the next one? Did something happen that we don't know about? I'm trying to figure this out. There's a lot to unpack with LCK here.
Yeah, let's jump right into LCK because
Yeah.
they kind of open up the shot with some of the crew members walking around, looking with a sense of urgency, and Rhoda's kind of standing there by herself. And then Tom comes in and explains something unusual happened during the competition. So no chef is walking through the LCK doors tonight. Seager's nowhere to be found. Tom said that'll be explained next week. So let's start speculating. What happened? Did Seager rage quit? Did staying up all night babysitting the hog wear him out so that he felt like he couldn't compete? Or did something personal happen where he just had to leave for some personal stuff going on at home? What do you think happened here?
I'm hoping it was something that's like in his favor. You don't want to see somebody like rage bait and quit on the thing that's changing your life. Like I'm hoping it's something it's in his favor. I don't want it to be like, oh, like he felt like he got dealt a short hand when he cooked the hog and, executed technically. Um, just because the loin was dry and he was like, that's not how you do it. Like if he's behind the scenes being like, that's cheating. They took the loin out and I lost. Like, I hope it's not that. Let's not even go to that, because I think, he has to have good character. Like I'm leaning on him, in his favor, but we don't know. So we'll, I can't wait for next week. Like I'm gonna skip the Top Chef episode. I think I'm gonna watch LCK first and then go back to figure it out. So I don't know, man. This is not a good look. Like, but Tom figured it out. We've seen this happen before, so I'm not surprised. Like on my season, that guy just quit in the middle of the season, so or in the middle of like the cook, like he was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Like I'm done. And we're like, Tom's like, what are we doing? Like we got an episode to make here, man. Like you're just gonna quit. You're just gonna quit, and you're just gonna go. That's how you applied for this. You wanted to do it, so you thought, and then you just give up because it wasn't what you thought. Like that's crazy. Like that's just a waste of time. It's a waste of other people's time. So I'm hoping it's not that.
Yeah, in your season, they kind of did another Sue On type thing where they had two
Yeah,
people coming in from Last Chance Kitchen, and I can't even remember their names, but they had an
yeah.
Asian lady and another guy. The Asian lady was great. She was funny. She was quirky. I wish she would have made it through. But yeah, you're talking about the guy that started in LCK, and then like I don't know, his second cook in, he was like, "I'm out. This is not what I wanted to come on Top Chef to do." And I was like,
Mhm.
dude, what a waste. What a
Yeah,
waste of a
man.
space for
You took
somebody
us
that could have wanted it.
exactly, man. Somebody would have came in there and been like, I'm trying to like go get into this. Like, oh man, that was whack. I hope it's not that, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did do some Googling after I saw that. I mean, after I watched LCK, I immediately Googled what happened to Seager on LCK. And there's some Redditors out there that are like, oh, he rage quit because if you look at episodes 4 and 5, you can see his demeanor kind of shifted and changed. And he was really unhappy about being eliminated. So I think he rage quit. So who knows? We're going to find out next week. I'm sure it's going to be some PR legal approved statement that gives us absolutely no answers, but he's gone. Apparently, he is not coming back. He has been what I lovingly call David Murphy'd off the show, because if we all remember David Murphy from season 21. He was gone in the first round and then never showed up again. He was Thanos snapped out of existence and nobody knows what happened.
Was that season 21? Yeah, it was 21. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
remember that. Yeah, he came in like weird energy. He was like talking shit on Tom being
yeah.
bald or like wearing a hat or something. And like Tom was like, what's wrong with this guy? And then literally, yeah. I heard some stories about what the truth is there, and that I don't know if it's the truth. So I'm not gonna touch on it. But yeah, got David Murphy, got him out of here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he insulted Tom's hat, and next thing he was gone. So who knows?
yeah, Tom's like, yeah, get this guy the fuck out of here.
But the show must go on, as they say.
Yes.
So it seems like they came up with this. Like the challenge was probably was obviously already set, but the format of it, they had to do it on the fly. It really looked like they made it up like right at that moment when they started filming. So Rhoda, nobody's going home. So this is just a fun challenge for money now.
Mhm.
And Tom's like, well, you got to compete against somebody. So he says, hey, Nana, Brittany, y'all want to win some money? You're not going back. Let's not mistake what's happening here. You're still out, but you can win some cash. So of course, Nana and Brittany's like, man, I'll do it. I'll make a $5,000 dish or sure.
Mhm.
And so that and Rhoda's like, I got nothing to lose. I'm not going to go home. So the challenge I thought was really funny. So during the middle of the elimination, or while they were shopping for the barbecue or the whole hog cook, Tom sent a video message to the two teams and said, "Hey, you're going to get an extra 2%, courtesy of the anyway, an extra 2% on your shopping budget to buy whatever you want. The only thing is you got to separate it from your main ingredients, and you can't tell the other team." So they thought, "Oh, we're going to swap ingredients and all that." No, these weird ingredients ended up being on the last chance kitchen table. So they had some weird stuff like duck heads. I think somebody was looking for durian, which, man, that would have been funny if somebody picked durian. Fish sauce, some bitter melon, and some other like wild stuff. And the challenge was to make a dish with those ingredients. So the competitors, Rhoda, Nana, and Brittany, had to pick two ingredients out of that table, and then Tom chose two more that they had to add to it. So Rhoda picked salted plum and fish sauce. Nana picked fried fish and peanuts, or fried fish with peanuts and coriander, and Brittany picked Korean melon and a shrimp and crab boil concentrate. It's the liquid that you pour in a shrimp crab boil. It's ultra
Guide with
concentrated.
red number 40. Looks
Yeah,
like Mountain Dew Code Red.
that's right. And then Tom chose two extra ingredients that they had to incorporate: duck heads and Vietnamese eggplant. I knew nobody was going to pick the duck head, and if nobody did, then he was going to do it because that was just wild looking to see that
20
duck head.
minutes. 20 minutes with duck heads. Like, what are we doing? That was you're Tom, you're a cruel guy for that.
20 minutes with a duck
20
head.
minutes. I'm like, bro.
And Brittany had a good idea. She's like, "Oh, I've cooked duck tongue before," and she pries that thing open, reaches in. She's like, "Damn it, there's no tongue."
Yeah.
Now I got to completely pivot and think of something else. So let's talk about the dishes here. Rhoda did a miso style soup with shiitake mushrooms and tofu. She said it was too sweet, so she grabs the fish sauce. Did you see how much fish sauce she poured on that thing?
Glug, 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 glug.
I'm
I'm
like,
like, oh,
girl,
brother.
a little goes a long way with the fish sauce.
Yeah, man.
And when Tom was tasting it, you could visibly see him like recoil, from just the level of saltiness that was in that dish. I was like, "Whoo!" I saw her pouring that fish sauce. I'm like, "Oh my lord, somebody's not going to have a good day with that. Somebody needs to get the blood pressure cuff on standby." Nana made a fried green tomato with coconut peanut sauce. Tom loved the texture of the nuts, had a lot of flavor, and the fried green tomatoes were cooked nice. And Nana was cooking relaxed, like she was in her bag, like she had nothing to lose, everything to gain. So she
Yep.
just like and 20 minutes is nothing. And
Nah.
we've seen her kind of fall apart on these time challenges, but she really was like moving smooth through the kitchen. She had enough time to make a little salad at the end, and
But that's the thing. If you know Nana, that's Nana. Like Nana's like she's big chilling energy. Like that's why like you seeing her, in the first couple cooks and then now versus now, it's not the same person cooking. And
yeah,
she said it. She's like, I didn't know who I was. Like I don't even know who I am now. And I'm like, no, you do. This is who you are. This is the Nana I know. Like I've seen those versions of you. This is the Nana I know. This is the Nana that everybody loves. This is the Nana that like is enjoying cooking. Like her supper club this is the version of her where she's like big chilling. She's got the energy. She's running the show. This is her, and she won 5,000. Well, no, let me borrow $10 one time. I know I said no to everybody when they were asking me when I won mine, but like shout out to her. And I thought this was cool. I also in my season, I also got picked to do this. When it was Katiana versus Cesar, and they had a three-way tournament style win to go back in. It was Katiana's last cook, and it's like one of y'all's going back in. I was like, they're gonna pick somebody to be sous chef. So I was like 100% somebody in our peanut gallery is gonna go back in and cook. And sure enough, I was in there, and I won my cook for Cesar to get him up 1-0 against Katiana. But this is what LCK is like. If you study Top Chef, there's a theme. Like I'm pretty sure in a future elimination challenge, two people are getting knocked out. Next episode, it's two or three people are gone. Like 100%. I'm willing to roll the dice on this. We can bet a couple side points on this too. If I win and I'm right, let me throw me 5 extra points, because it's just like Top Chef. They stick to a theme. They have their way of like spicing things up and jazzing things up and throwing curveballs into the competition to where it makes it hard. For example, everybody thought those ingredients were for the other team, but in reality, it was for something that they just didn't even see coming. And so I like the idea of like, let's keep throwing the Top Chef curveballs at them. Let's, like, the s'mores challenge, for example, he didn't tell them they were going to win money. And then it's just like, oh, you won an extra 2%, $500. Like, everybody's probably like, oh, damn, like I should have, were you cooking to win in this little side challenge, the side quest? No, you weren't, because you didn't know there was money involved. So it's like, that's where like Top Chef keeps people on their toes. And it's like, the person who just had a good idea, the person who like went for it, is going to win out. And so I think, they've got to continue to be on this pace. And as there's only a couple people left and we're getting ready for a restaurant wars, these chefs got to be on their toes here.
Yeah. I really wish I just saw this Nana in the earlier competitions. So that tells me her nerves just got the best of her in those first 2 episodes. And just, she didn't, I guess she just didn't know what to expect. You never do until you're there. And now that she was kind of with no pressure, she was just relaxed and cooked and looked like she had fun. So it was really neat to see her in that element. And then Brittany did a poached shrimp with cucumber, carrot, eggplant, and melon. And Tom said it was under seasoned. He said, if I can take half of Rhoda's dish and put it in yours, it would have been the perfect level of seasoning. So the winner of LCK was Nana. So she comes back from being eliminated, wins some money, wins you some points because she's on your team in the draft. So that was pretty interesting. We've never had that happen in the history of the Eat Your Content Top Chef draft. So making history here.
I'll take it straight to the bank.
That's right.
Every time.
And Rhoda stays on because Seeger was a no-show. So nothing lost for Rhoda. She'll be back next week with whoever gets eliminated there. But overall, I thought it was a really good episode. I love the tournament style of the whole hog cook, and the little twist in LCK because of Seeger not being there was fun and interesting. So yeah, we did it. We covered it. Didn't have to pull an all-nighter like the chefs did, but we covered it all. And yeah. So what's going on with you? I want to give you the last couple of minutes of where can people find you on socials and what's going on at the restaurants?
You can follow me at Chef Corwin Hemming on Instagram. Everything at the restaurant, it's hot in DC now. Like, we're seeing 80-degree weeks, and I am here for it. I'm like, I'm wearing shorts every day. I'm at that point now where it's warm outside. We're in full spring mode, and I'm just basically channeling my inner Justin. I'm ready to break out all the shorts and
with the 5-inch inseams.
That's crazy. I have really long legs. I'm 6'2", so no 5-inch inseams for me. Those would be boxers for me if I was wearing 5-inch inseams. But at the restaurant, we're nominated for Best New Restaurant in the Rammies, so we are finalists in that list. And I'm really excited. We talked about this last episode. The other chefs that are in their restaurants that are in that list, it's 2 other Top Chef alum. So I'm really proud of all the people that are up there, and the team that at Isla, and all the work we're doing with us. Super proud of everything. It's like, when you put in the hard work, proof is in the pudding. We're not doing this to win awards. We're doing this to like put out the best product possible, and proof is in the pudding. So yeah, I'm just at the restaurant cooking. If you want a good meal, you want something different. If you want some electric food, come by, see me. Step up to the past, tell me you're a fan of Top Chef. I'll shake hands, kiss babies, take a picture with you. So it's fun.
Awesome. And don't forget to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content, and like and subscribe on your podcast player of choice. And if you like what we're doing, we had a fun time today. If you like it, leave a review. I'd appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. Chef Corwin, thank you so much. And we'll see you again next week.
Yes, can't wait for it.